My name is Rithika and I'm a freshman. Well, now I'm an upcoming sophomore in high school. I'm more interested towards like the business side and computer side of things. I love to get like involved in technology wherever I can. And then yeah, like for hobbies, I'm really passionate just about reading, playing volleyball within my free time with friends, and then I love to visit the library whenever I can. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
What made you interested in all these subjects, especially at your age?
I've always been in a family and an environment where I've been volunteering at such a young age. One of our core values, especially as a family, is always helping out others and always like kind of helping others before yourself, making sure that others come before yourself. Around third grade is when I started visiting my local food bank almost every single day or whenever we could during the weekends, and me and my dad would go and help volunteer out there. As I grew older, I really wanted to not just show up to events and like volunteer, but I also wanted to help shape events, if that makes sense. That's why I really got involved in nonprofit work specifically, making sure that like all young children and people my age were involved regardless of their age, and just making sure that like if you care enough and are willing to put in the work, you can easily get involved in like all these sort of volunteering sort of aspects.
Let's talk about Impact Forward. Let's start off by giving an overview of what that is.
So Impact Forward really started out as an idea between me and my friend. We kind of saw that a lot of kids our age wanted to volunteer and they wanted to get involved, but they didn't know how. And there's just like so many places, but people don't actually know where to start. That's when me and my friend wanted to start this organization called Impact Forward. And how it works is we have central level events, and then we also have chapter-based events. Give donuts to our teachers, and we our school's located near like a fire station, so we also like go and make cards for them. And it's just like different events throughout, and that's like the chapter-based events. But then we also have our central level events. So this past year we partnered with Dell and Goodwill to host an e-waste drive where we collected a bunch of e-waste from our local communities, because our area, specifically the Austin, Texas area, we don't have a great e-waste recycling program. That event we contributed over 10,000 pounds of e-waste. So there's different levels of events. There's really small events where it's just like writing cards to teachers, but there's also like way higher level events like that. Impact Forward basically gives them a framework to volunteer. It gives them a platform to bring in their own ideas, group chat. We're always sharing out like different opportunities, so everyone always has something to do and always has volunteering aspects. Next year we quickly saw like so many kids were actually getting involved. Here in like the United States, we have the Presidential Volunteer Service Award, which basically is the highest amount of it's the highest award you can get as a volunteer. And in our first year, we issued around 16. And this year, we actually just had our award ceremony. Is that to over 75 different medals.
I'm imagining like it's the two of you working on this, and eventually you build more teams and then you outreach more and people come in. Could you like outline what that journey was like? Both great and hard parts.
We kind of started off talking about like these volunteering opportunities, and she had a volunteer club at school, but I want to reach this out to more people. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea, but how are we going to turn this into like a scalable solution that like actually in the long run? I was already involved in nonprofits, so we kind of looked into more of the nonprofit sort of sector and how we could grow this as a sustainable nonprofit. First, we had to file our actual nonprofit. So It was a lot of research, a lot of reaching out to like different people, and we filed for our 501c. That also took like another 6 months. And we had to do a bunch of fundraising for it too, because I think it's $600 to file for all those combined. And we had to go almost like door to door, selling different candies and different sweets and like a bunch of different fundraisers. This was a huge success. We did a STEM and spell event, a certain amount of participation fees to enroll, but that participation fees was donated towards our organization, and I think we raised over like $600-700 from that, and that was the real event that kind of like
Mhm.
kickstarted it all. It was a lot of like trial and error and a lot of mostly financial issues. Once we started our nonprofit, the actual chapter based solutions took a lot of time. A lot of people wanted to start a chapter, but for example, their administration didn't want to start a new club, or they couldn't find a teacher sponsor for their club. We also we needed officers for our whole nonprofit. So we started to send out applications, and first of all, no one applied, and then once we put it on LinkedIn, I think we got over 30. But yeah, I think it was just a lot of trial and error. I think at the end of the day, both of us, especially me, I think I knew how it was like to be involved in nonprofit work. Being a co-founder especially taught me that I didn't know everything I needed to know, and now that I do, I think I have so much knowledge. And now a lot of people do reach out to me asking how do you file for this, and I know exactly what to do because
Yeah.
I've kind of gone through all.
Has there ever been a story interaction with a student that you've helped that has really stood out to you?
I was always involved in nonprofits at such a young age, but it was so uncommon then, especially at the food bank. I'd be one of the only actual kids there. Well, actually last week at our award ceremony, I think over 1/3 of our award recipients were under 10 years old, especially one girl. After the whole ceremony was done, she came and just gave me a hug. She was like, thank you so
Oh.
much. And she was 5 years old, and she was like, thank you so much. I love volunteering, and it was just having this platform has enabled me to inspire so many just young children into getting involved within their community. And this young girl was also helping put away all the chairs and cleaning up. And I think this sort of being involved in volunteering at such a young age helps you build those lifelong skills of just helping out wherever you can, making sure everyone is well taken care of. When I saw all these young children get involved in volunteering because of Impact Forward and because of what I started, I think that was a real moment of wow, I think this is actually creating impact and this is actually creating change, which is why we kind of have the name Impact Forward, to make sure these children are also telling their friends to get involved in volunteering, and volunteering is just spreading all around, making sure that everyone knows volunteering does really have true impacts in the world.
What is one thing that really challenged you?
Or when we were forming our sort of team, a lot of people had other commitments, of course, and that's totally fine. But I could see people slowly put away their responsibilities. How do I get people to actually care about this, and how do I find people who actually care about this? If you can't commit, how do I actually form a team? I've realized, oh well, we don't even meet as a team too often, so of course they don't really care. As a leader, I've grown especially from just expecting people to do something that has been assigned. I've really started to take initiative for my mistakes now, and grown as a leader, making sure checking in all the time, and also filling in wherever needed. I heard this actually once from one of my internships. If you were a leader and you were a boss, it should always be 51%, 49% work ethic. So you should always, as a leader, you should always be putting slightly more work than the people that are working for you, because that's what actually shows that you're a leader. Me being so young, I just didn't really have an opportunity to do that beforehand, and now I carry those skills throughout my other nonprofits as well that I'm a part of, and I really do that sort of leadership sort of aspect within everything I do.
What is the future of Impact Forward? What are you really trying to push in the next couple of months and years?
We're really working towards growing our chapters. Right now we're statewide, so we have 5 chapters here in Austin, Texas, and then we have 1 chapter in Dallas, Texas. We're really looking forward to just growing more chapters, even nationwide, and hopefully by senior year internationally. And this summer, actually, we're working on outreaching towards different states and different student leaders that we see statewide. Also slowly working towards partnering with international nonprofits as well. We have 6 chapters right now. Our goal by the end of this summer is having around 20 chapters, and then hopefully double and triple that for the next years to come. But yeah, even if me and my co-founder, we even leave high school, I think we'll still sort of continue expanding and growing, making sure that everyone kind of realizes how important volunteering is and getting involved in your community and making sure that there are lots of chapters worldwide to kind of continue the sort of volunteerism that we have going on.
Talk about anything else that you're engaged in other than Impact Forward.
Like, I'm interested in like computer science and its global implications, but like what does that really mean? I've always been involved in technology just because like my parents have always been like in the IT field, and I've learned coding from like I think like fourth grade. So what that really means is almost every single nonprofit I'm in involves technology somehow, and my role involves technology. For example, I'm involved in this Model UN conference. I'm one of the secretariat members for it, so I help run the conference and the Undersecretary General website there. So for that conference and that nonprofit it is a nonprofit. So for that sort of organizations, I focus on developing the website, making sure the website's always up to date with all the information, as well as I'm also involved in this other nonprofit called the Science Cheerleaders, which focuses on like promoting girls in STEM and like making sure that they're involved in STEM. I manage their social media, and I use a bunch of like data tables, making sure I know like what posts get the most traction, what to post that. Another one that like really focuses on tech for me is the Genesis Initiative, a business nonprofit. I'm actually their legal advisor, which helps them file their nonprofit, get the 501c like tax exempt status, as well as just like helping them around like filing taxes and everything. You're always incorporating technology is such a big deal, because with our changing world, you do always need to be involved in the technology sort of aspect to make sure you're growing all of your nonprofits and everything.
Advice you would give to other high school students who want to start something in your position and are stressed.
It's gonna be hard, but identify something that you're really passionate about. For example, I was really passionate about volunteering, but if you're super passionate about like helping out the medical community, like just like find an interest that really does like you're super interested in, and you could put like hours of work into it, no matter what the obstacles are, that you're always carrying out your vision and your plan, and just like always pushing through, always get the end result that you want. Because if you do give up too early, then you're never going to see any actual results. Then if you were to keep pushing and then you fail towards the end, at least you know you tried your best.
What are the things like you crash out about?
As soon as my grade drops to like below a 90, I just like get super overwhelmed, and I'm like, what do I do? Because how especially our school does is it's a best fit, so your teacher actually just chooses the grade. It's not based on your test. This past weekend I was like supposed to hang out with some of my friends, and I had the award ceremony this weekend. So I think I do definitely crash over like school balance and like friend balance, but I think over time I have gotten really good about like having a Google Calendar and making sure like before I make plans I check my Google Calendar twice to make sure like I don't like make any false promises to.
Do you agree that IB schools are way tougher than AP?
Definitely are, and everyone who says no, they just haven't been through that.
An unpopular opinion you have.
I do not love Snapchat too much, and I actually do not have Snapchat at all. And I told all my friends, I'm like, I don't see the point of Snapchat. Like, if you want to send photos to your like friends, just like do it. Like, I don't know. I just don't like the like fact that like sending pictures to like people I barely know. Like, I just like kind of like scares me.